He wasn't even a follower, but whatever. Right, okay. Your turn to intro, actually, Dan.
All right, well, hello everybody, and welcome to the second game of the Grand Finals ESL EU Week 3. And we have had a pretty incredible day today in terms of games. We've seen some fantastic things, and as a result of all of these games, we are treated to an epic matchup: Luvnest against Jesulin. First game, of course, won by Luvnest, and check this out: Jesulin playing the exact same commander that Luvnest picks, and Luvnest has gone straight into Ostrupen. Uh, Strange picks, good picks. What do you think?
Well, it's all about how they play him, as usual. Ostrupen is all about map capping. Sorry.
Well, we wait for AE to cough there. I think what he's trying to say is the Ostrupen are going to be able to dominate and occupy a number of key strategic buildings straight away. But does he know, of course, that Jesulin has gone straight into Armored Assault? We'll find out later on. But either way, he's going to have to deal with this now.
Oh, God, that was a nice coughing fit. The Ostrupen have done very well so far in branching out, two of them in total. The first one's gone is going to go towards the munitions cut off straight away. He's also gone for the fuel with the Pioneers. He did build an extra one in total, so it's very clear to see that Luvnest in this situation is going for a capping heavy build, and it's all going to be about map control for the German. Jesulin is going for also an infantry based build with his third conscript teching, and he himself, Dan, has gone for that same armoured assault tactics as Luvnest did in the first game.
I don't know if that's true actually in this game. I don't think Luvnest did that. Luvnest went for the Maxim builds. He only produced two conscripts in that previous game until quite late in. So
Yeah, but he went for armoured assault tactics as his
he did
doctrine.
go for Armored Assault straight away, and he is playing a more familiar build with Armored Assault of the conscripts. Be interesting to see if we go Engineers or Cons again. Here we go, fourth con building, so a massive telltale sign. Jesulin should give the game away straight away to Luvnest if Luvnest spots the massive conscripts on the field. It should be very, very clear, and we'll see how Luvnest decides to counter that. Of course, my wonder is, what teching are we going to see from Jesulin after this? Will we see that same heavy tier 2 support build? And of course, support weapons on Samoski are very, 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 very good in this environment.
They are. It's because of that peninsula of land in the centre between the ice lake and the ice river. It's heavily condensed fighting, as always on Semois. The most played Company of Heroes map overall, when both games considered. It's been the site of millions of deaths, Dan. It's a small French, well, in this case, Russian village.
Yeah, it's almost brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Ostrupen are gaining benefits of being behind medium cover here, firing on the combat engineers, surely about to push them away. Elsewhere, you've got a pitched engagement with Ostrupen versus conscripts, both in garrison. Fortunately for us, this is a final, because if this was a usual game, it wouldn't be exciting. Because it is a final, of course, it is everything that matters.
Yeah, I actually, looking at this with the Ostrupen, great play, by the way, with the Ostrupen, really claiming some vital buildings there, pushing off the engineers. Conscript's going to have a real hard time dealing with the Ostrupen in all of these buildings. They have to be, they have to have some kind of support on the field, maybe with a mortar that comes out or something. But of course, this commander option doesn't allow for that. Luvnest is about to lose an
About to
Ostrupen.
die. Surely, yes indeed, the Moz and the Gats get the kill, get the pickup, and that is a 200 manpower loss for Luvnest in the early game.
Jesulin's great benefit here is that he's actually gone for Molotov straight away, and it means that the Ostrupen don't have the effect that Luvnest was expecting. He's got a lot of map control. Fortunately, MG is here to cover him a little bit, but Molotov's a really, really good early decision there.
They were indeed, and it is all about, as Dan rightly mentioned, the cover dynamics of that. Also, an MG42 out for Luvnest is a target for Molotov should they flank it. So it's going to be arguably in the teching favour of Jesulin for the meantime.
Yeah, it's good. He's done good to keep him off all the points and stuff, and Loveness trying to get that mean, thin S-mine patch
Yes.
over again. Needs to be careful standing in there though, because obviously the right trigger of those mines could relay into these engineers
What a
and
great
kill them.
little usage of the S-mine there by Luvnest. He actually built it under fire. He's put a little patch up there, and all that's going to do is delay Jesulin from getting his cut off and getting access to his own fuel that he currently capped, and indeed, in the long run, his munitions. So great play by Luvnest there.
Jesulin's putting a lot of a lot of trust in this four conscript build. It doesn't look like it's really paying off for him just yet. Of course, Ostrupen very easy for Loveness to replace. Do we have a battle phase 1? I think that's going up right now, so we will see tier 2 from the Austere coming in fairly shortly. And I wonder what's going to be going in from that. I wonder if we're going to see Panzerschrecks, sorry, not Panzerschrecks, Panzer Grenadiers come out onto the field. Might be pretty nice at helping to deal with any of these conscript rushes and defending the MG there.
In the long run, he's going to need Pack 40s, I presume. In the meantime, yeah, he's got a choice to make. A half-track would be nice, though, with Ostrupen, because the rapid reinforcement and 16 manpower cost per model is really good to use with a half-track. You can really soak up a lot of damage in the centre and push your opponent off the map. Big retreat here. Got the Pioneers on the conscripts causing a retreat. There's a little bit of fire on retreat from the Ostrupen, of which another squad occupies the house.
Yeah, I don't really feel like Jesulin has anything to get past this at the moment. 4 conscripts, 2 engineers. Not really sure exactly what this is all about right now.
It's it's interesting for sure. He has had to get a minesweeper on one of the combat engineers. Sorry, Karen.
Sorry, just looking at where Jesulin built tier 2. I'm guessing when those engineers came on, they built it straight away. Just seemed like a slightly off-par place.
Yeah, I guess he needed to build it with that combat engineer because he's suffering for capping power right now. So as soon as the second built combat engineer came on the field, he built it as soon as humanly possible. It is an interesting choice for sure, and you don't often see that, but that is these players playing literally for every second of time they can get. It's such a brutal contest between the two.
Definitely, and this really comes down to how Jesulin can start to reclaim some territory right now. He needs to get hold of territory so he can get that tier 3 out. A tier 3 now, if he can get anything out early enough, possibly even look at a quad cal. But he doesn't have the munitions for it at the moment. It's going to have to be the T70 in order for him to start getting some map control and take this game back. But that being said, he has forced Luvnest off out of the middle, so he should be able to start reclaiming a little bit of ground. It's just, what has he got to back this up? He's getting flamed out of buildings. The Ostrupen are starting to gain veterancy. Going to struggle to make it against the MG gun, and now we've got Panzer Grenadiers coming up as well too, which we spoke about before. So
look at Jesulin as well. He's building a Zis gun in preemption of a tank coming out. There's nothing coming out. It's Panzer Grenadiers. So Panzer Grenadiers are going to have the SGGs firing, and that is just going to ensure that Luvnest has a superiority in firepower for the time being. And although Jesulin...
Yeah, I would have to say, in terms of game mechanics, though, we're coming up to 9-10 minutes of gameplay now. He doesn't have any fuel. If Loveness was to catch him off guard, it would be a really big deal. So he does at least have to cover himself, I think. I think that's a fair thing to do, because if he did get caught off guard, he'd be kicking himself for not having that.
Elsewhere, you've got these Ostrupen push right up to Jesulin's base, not even allowing the Spaniard time to breathe in terms of fuel. And I think Jesulin had to get a Zis at some point. I'm not calling him out for that, because he's not had fuel control. But Luvnest isn't actually building anything in armour, so he's actually countering Jesulin at every step currently.
Yeah, unless he had... I mean, it's strange, actually. Let's just think, you do make a good point there, is that Loveness does have radio intercept. Jesulin has radio intercept, so Jesulin should kind of know, maybe,
yes, he does.
That isn't the case. I'm actually looking at it from a different angle, that, you should really always aim to have an AT gun out by this time of the game, just to stop any kind of medium play. But, he does actually have that intel, that is a good point. He has this intel at his disposal. He knows that there's nothing on the field yet. He's going to know there's a battle phase tech, and that's probably about it.
He doesn't have 18 aids, I suppose, so he did need a somewhat comfort blanket against any form of anti-tank right now. It could have been anything, really. an MG squad now coming onto the field, so he's now trying to focus on support weapon play and try and claim some of the sense, because he is suffering for victory points, finding himself in much the same situation he was in the first game.
Yeah, he is. He's getting a couple of good pushes, but he is getting returned every time by Luvnest. And Luvnest actually does a very sensible thing. He retreats a lot of his army when it's necessary, and he just recoups and makes a very, very good strategic push out in all areas. Do you know what I mean? So he's doing the right thing there. What I really like about Luvnest is that he knows when it is a good time to do these retreats. He knows when it's a good time to just save everything and give it another stab. And every time he outplays Jesulin when he does that.
You've started saying it the same way I do.
Have I?
With a je instead of a s.
Oh God!
I know, it's contagious, sorry.
Jesulin.
Second Panzer Grenadier comes out, so he's using elite troops very expensive elite troops, I might add, to complement the very cheap Ostrup, and it's a very nice dynamic. Love to see it, and I love to see how things complement each other in this game.
Interesting engagements going on everywhere at the moment. One of these players is going to slip up at some point. There is a lot to keep hold of right here. Another very, very strong push from Jesulin. There's the amount of manpower that he's getting on the field right now. Second squad of Panzer Grenadiers have hit the field too from Luvnest. So again, very, very potent at helping to deal with these conscripts.
This early passage of play, the first 10 minutes, has been arguably a lot like Come Heroes 2 in the early days, with low lethality on infantry, causing units to kind of be in a very slow killing match. But now the STGs are on the field. There's a lot of STGs on the field from the Panzer Grenadiers. It's going to change that dynamic drastically. That's why Maxims have now come out for Jesulin and hopefully try and stem the tide.
Yeah, Maxim's a pretty good choice, I think, right now. He does need to make sure that he doesn't spend himself too late. But the famous thing with Jesulin is that I bet he doesn't even go for a tier 3 or tier 4. This is so typical of him, really. Is that, yeah, I see Jesulin do it in so many times. He is a call-in freak.
You can't use the F word. Mosin Nagat's targeting the Pioneers on retreat. Elsewhere in the north, next to that fuel, conscripts possibly going down. They did get a Molotov in on the Ostrup, and they have to retreat thanks to Maxim fire. And look, Jesulin's now starting to get back into things on 290 victory points remaining.
Great telemine just got laid by Luvnest right on the entrance to for vehicles to come across the bridge on the western side of the map. So that is probably going to claim the life of any medium tier vehicle. But I mean, again, I can't see it happening. We always see games where Jesulin's floating like 7k fuel.
So he will get some vehicle at some point, of course, and when it does, it's going to meet a fiery end, unless it's anything like T-34 at least. And of course, he's in call-in meta, isn't he? So it likely will be a heavier vehicle. It will survive the teller, and it'll tell Luvnest exactly what's happened, and that he's got time to prepare for the imminent arrival of that said vehicle.
Another AT gun for Jesulin. He must be expecting some kind of tech here. I think he can probably see that the Battle Phase 2 Tier 3 structure's going up right now. So chances of perhaps, this as well, what do we expect is going to come out here?
It's a difficult one to call. I mean, he does have a few things at his disposal. I think every vehicle from that tier is actually useful. It's one of the most beautifully developed tech structures in the game. It took a while for Relic to get there. But now that the Stug has anti-vehicle... Oh god, combat engineer possibly dying. No, the Panzer Grenadiers did not target him. Mercy shown there, just about. They were instead trying to get rid of this Maxim that will start firing. No, the Panzer Grenadiers get around the arc of fire. It's a hard retreat for the Maxim now. And they're losing models. They can't pick it up. They know that Maxim's worth more than each individual human life there, seemingly, and they really want to take it home, and they can't. Ostrup can get the second Maxim.
That was such good play from Luvnest there. Really, really good. And I kind of got lucky that the Ostrup took out the gunner to stop the suppression fire starting up as quick as it does. But really, really played that well. Good initiative.
It is the penalty the Maxim suffers for having such quick aim to fire. When they do get caught out of those 6 men, soon become a lot less.
Yeah, they really, really do.
And of course, the original Maxim crew actually have received accuracy issues with being support weapon members, so they can really go down rather quickly. I know it's a 6-man squad and all. So in terms of overall map, let's get the tap map up right now, because it's a patchwork, a medley of activity in the centre.
Yeah, it really, really is. Luvnest hasn't had both of his fuels for quite a portion of the game now, something that Jesulin is really keeping on top of. And, we have to remember, like, just have a look at the builds. Huge infantry builds coming in here, but Luvnest has matched it very well with the 2 Panzer Grenadiers. Panzer IV is about to hit the field fairly soon. It does, in my opinion, look like Jesulin's just saving up for off-map call-ins. And I think this is going to be something that Luvnest can really use to his advantage. I mean, bear in mind, if Luvnest can take hold of a fuel, or even a munitions, with a nice munitions drop, Shreks on both of the Panzer Grenadiers, the IS-2 is so weak to Panzer Shreks. It's probably one of the best ways to take down an IS-2, and so much potential
for people watching. Of course, this commander did used to have T-34-85s as a call-in. Now you do have to get Tier 4. Because I realise we've got a lot of players here that might be casual players that might not be aware of that change. So it is Jesulin. If he doesn't get one of his tier structures up, he's going to be pretty much stuck with an IS-2. And he's only on 7 command points now, so he's roughly just over half the way there. So it would be a very risky strategy indeed.
Let's not also forget that there is still an unscouted telemine on the entrance to Jesulin's base, so when this IS-2 does come in, it's going to be instantly vulnerable. Any kind of decent flank from this Panzer IV, hopefully by that time it will have some veterancy too. It's going to spell trouble for Jesulin, unfortunately.
Maxim in a weak state here, gets targeted by the Panzer IV. Unfortunately, it does actually set aim to fire. Now it's got to retreat. Panzer IV blocking its way. Another Maxim probably going to go down here. Elsewhere, you've got an engagement with Pioneers. Maxim does indeed get taken out. Oh, and
Jesulin very quickly reduced to hardly anything there.
He's building another conscript. He's got his 2 Ziskuns coming into position. And he's just in a very strange position right now, and you called it very well. I mean, he hasn't even teched any tier structure. The Panzer IV is going to be largely, if it steers clear of the Ziskuns, largely unmitigated.
Yeah, I mean, basically the main point of this strategy is to throw out as much infantry as possible, something that you have seen Jesulin do. And the idea is you try and get as much experience as possible. But if we actually look at what's going on, Luvnest is the one with the more experience, because he's had a lot more infantry to actually take down and deal with. So, actually, building all this infantry has actually benefited Luvnest way more than it has Jesulin.
Great thing about Ostrupen is they don't give much experience when they die. They still gain experience when they kill. So it is a good dynamic there, and there's so many facets of common heroes to be aware of, but different units have different amounts of experience given when they die. So Ostrupen actually are quite good, even though they die quite a lot, at stopping your opponent from gaining too much veterancy or experience.
The benefits of Ostrupen, I think people are really coming around to. Of course, there's massive benefits to playing with them.
Pioneer with the flamethrower doing excellent damage to the conscript, pushing and strangling Jesulin off the map. Could this be yet again Luvnest getting a dominant win in ESL? 2nd in a row if he does this, 3rd if you count the NA bracket. This could be massive for the German player, and what a great time to have a highlight on the in-game there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the streamer highlight, I think everybody's probably going to go and have a little read of that after this. It's just a superior knowledge and gameplay from Luvnest here. Jesulin, I personally think it's a mistake to play this armored assault thing. It used to work because at this stage of the game, you would start coming up to the T-34-85s 18 minutes into the game that was available to you. But, with the restriction to Tier 4 now, Jesulin just didn't go for the tier structures. It's a huge mistake in my opinion, because it's so easy for the Ostia player to counter a non-Tier 3 build, or a non-any tier build against Soviets.
Have you noticed something about the Maxims, Dan? He's not got a single one left.
Yeah, I mean, well, look how many Maxims Luvnest has. I bet he's in heaven right now, playing the finals with Luvnest strategy. Even as Ostia, he's still playing his Maxim spam.
He can't get away from it. I think somebody said that in chat as well. Yeah, he's got his MG42 Vet 2 and then 2 Maxims. I don't think Jesulin stands a chance right now.
Yeah, this build order really hasn't worked for him at the moment. Of course, you know, things can change when the IS-2 comes out, but you know, we're pushing in 190 VPs now. You know, if Luvnest can make this a triple cap, then we obviously have 3 minutes left of gameplay left at a triple cap. The IS-2 has to seriously overperform right now, and as I say, I think Luvnest just starting to come around with the Stug 3 actually is being built, so this is going to be really, really good to that effect.
Again, people saying DevM question mark in chat. Why are people on about DevM? DevM has said, and he allowed me to say this on stream, next month there will only be one winner kappa. So that's an interesting thing. So we might have a lot more competition next month. It'll be very interesting to see an older player that's been a bit on a hiatus come back into the fray. So,
yeah, and really, really nice to see DevM wanting to take part again.
You know there's money on the line. You know that competition is getting fierce when DevM, you know, cocks his head and says, I might get interested, rubs his hands together. And that's ESL for you. It makes medium level players want to be top level players. It makes top level players want to be elite tournament level players. And it brings some of the old top level players back. And everything just gets a hell of a lot more competitive. It's so fun to watch and so fun to see.
Supply drop coming in, by the way, for Luvnest. Luvnest actually preferred to capture the munitions rather than the VP. So this may be what I was talking about earlier. He may actually be going for the Panzerschreck rush here. I think he must have spotted exactly what Jesulin is doing right now. He has to think that the IS-2 is on the cards. So rushing these munitions right here, very, very good idea. It's going to allow him to equip both of his Panzerschrecks with, Panzer Grenadiers with Shreks straight away. And that's going to be probably the best thing for him to start taking down the IS-2 at this point. Even with the Panzer IVs, these are probably better reserved as an anti-infantry role at the moment, and not lent too much into the IS-2s, because even the two of them with a good flank may still run the risk of losing that engagement.
Second Panzer IV on the field just to, you know, add insult to injury.
Yeah, well, they're the perfect combined role, really. They're so good against infantry. They do pull their weight against tanks as well. Of course, you know, with these Panzerschrecks, it's going to be a huge force for Jesulin to deal with.
Do we understand where the dead Panzer Grenadier died? There were 3, there's 2.
I honestly didn't see a third one, actually, if I'm honest.
Oh, my bad. Maybe I was mistaken. Never mind. Okay, let's carry on. This has just been decrewed. Probably going to get either taken or sunk. Which one would you go for in this situation?
I hope it gets sunk, if I'm honest.
Like hold me, Jack. Don't let go. Kind of situation.
This one crawling away. Yeah, that's
yes.
the one.
That's Jack. He's sick of Rose in the situation. Oh no!
Nearly. I mean, one of the guys may even just sink into that little void there. Who knows?
He really wants it to happen. It's not sinking though. Maybe we have to sing. Here now, my heart will go on. No, it's not happening. Never mind.
Anyway.
Panzer IV retreating out of there. He does sense that this has been retaken. Didn't manage to sink it. Elsewhere, he's got this low health Panzer IV, still doing a lot of damage. Look at that Maxim right on the bridgehead. I'm not even going to be able to see that Tala go off, Dan.
No, I'm fully expecting right now. We're about to come up to the IS-2 right now. This is Jesulin's one chance to get back into this game. There is only one viable route that Jesulin can take. Right, well, maybe two. He could go over the ice on the very left-hand side, drive up to the VP, try and take it from there. But of course, that has been heavily mined now. The second he tries to break through this bridge, you know, this kind of narrow choke point to get to this Maxim, he's gonna hit a telemine. It's gonna be engine damage. You know, we've got 2 Panzer IVs hitting the field now, you know, in place. By the way, of course, he switched.
Oh, and there you go. Luvnest for the third tournament win in a row. First week he won NA, second week he won EU, and here he is again, beating Jesulin in massive fashion. That was a real big win for the German there, Dan.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what? A massive credit to Luvnest, because he has come so. He really is peaking as a player at the moment. People in chat saying, you know, some mean things like, "Oh, Jesulin used to be good." Jesulin is good.
It's amazing. Coming here into such a hard game, and Jesulin is one of the best in its history.
Jesulin is really good. You know, Luvnest is just incredible at the moment. So, and you know what? It's not even a micro thing. Do you know what I mean? It's just the build knowledge at the moment. I kind of feel like
strategies. Yeah, he's getting hard counted at the moment. It must be said. His micro is still there, but he needs to #adapt, go back to the drawing board, and analyze what he can do against fellow top level players that will get him back on points, and he needs to have a few game plans at his disposal. If my opponent counters me with this, I will do this. If my and it's easy for me to this as a rank 500 player to tell Jesulin one of the all-time best, but as a caster, and I'm sure as my fellow caster Dan will agree, we're seeing that Jesulin, in our opinion, is getting hard countered in some of these big tournament level games against tough opponents. So hopefully, and I know he will rebound and come back and be feared once again. I'm just getting the game up, by the way. I'm just highlighting this. I'm sure you've seen it. You all play Come Heroes. There you go. There's Luvnest looking very angelic with his blonde hair and blue eyes. It's typical German. And he has got a community spotlight on the in-game right now. So go and read about that if you want to thingy. But I think the kindest thing we can do now, before I very quickly tell you to subscribe to me on YouTube and follow Dan on Twitch. There is his, because he's going to be casting ESL next weekend. Hang on, let me do this properly. There you go. And so you'll find a big button below to subscribe to me. Now we're going to host Generals Gentlemen because they are underway with their cast of the NA bracket. There's Luvnest, by the way, appearing in chat. GG, well played, Luvnest. GG, well played, Jesulin. Great tournament by both. How would you do this? Is it host and then the Generals?
So /host space Generals Gentlemen.
Got it. Generals.
And a shout out to them as well if you need to pull their names quickly to do a quick host.
Yeah, Luvnest is grinding money. That's in real money, Dan. Do you want me to tell you how much that is in pounds, just so you know?
It's about 160, 170.
Oh, that takes my stream offline anyway, doesn't it?